Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Mecha model kit review, and today I'm taking a look at the MAILES Jogan Kai, and of course once again this is from Kyokai Senki, our AMAIM warrior at the borderline. Now I have a few of these still left in the backlog I need to bash on out, and if you want one of these of your own, I got mine through Hobby Link Japan. Link will be down there in the description. Now let's check it out. So jumping right on into the aesthetics, and once again I absolutely adore the design of these particular mecha. They really have that old school lumbering mecha feel. And by the way, while mentioning that, did you see that there's going to be a new Armored Core coming out? I'm super excited. But anyway, back to what I'm talking about right here. Jumping into the full 360-degree spin on this, and this is another chunky, massive block of high grade right here. As usual when it does come to the build of this is plastic on plastic and it is rock solid. These never fail to impress when it comes to the build. Now when it comes to the details and the color separation on this, for the most part it is incredible. Actually all of the yellow on there is color separated. We've got a really nice clear part inside the face there that is in a bluish green that is almost not noticeable from some angles, but it does look really nice. Now the only real down point, and I suppose it has been time and time again with these kits all the way back to the MAILES Byakuchi, that is the gold. All of the gold on this particular AMAIM right here is stickers. And speaking of which, this is them right here. Now, time and time again we have seen gold stickers with these particular kits, but not on this level. Also, I did mention that all the yellow on this was color separated, but I was a little bit wrong. We've got some yellow ones here, we've got some navy blue here, but for the most part it is all of that gold. So as for that small yellow sticker, it's these little vents right here. These are pretty much on all of the different AMAIMs so far, so it's just to color in that vent there. The bluish sticker is that one right there in the middle of the chest. Now at first you probably wouldn't even notice that. It is slightly a different color from the rest of the plastic. Now from what I'm actually seeing in the manual, this is probably color accurate. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm actually going to pop up the image of what this particular mecha should look like right now so you can make your own decision on that. And from what I can tell, it is meant to be that darker color, kind of like the one you can see down there on the crotch. So it's kind of in between the two of those. Of course, a sticker is not optimal, but it could be a whole lot worse. It recesses in there, not too bad. Now, when it does come to the gold ones on here, these are all over the place. So these are a little bit on the ridiculous side. So much so that you're probably better off painting these. You know, if you paint your kits, you'll be painting them. If you don't paint your kits, well, you might be using the stickers. So it is a little bit of a shame that Bandai couldn't have done a little bit better with the gold on here. Next up then, we've got two very dark stickers right here, number 9. And as for those, these are the ones right here up on the top of the legs. Once again, recessed, so not the worst, and not a hard part to actually paint if you've got some paint or something like a Gundam marker handy. So as of right now, all of my PLA models are packed away, so it does mean I do not have the standard high-grade MAILES Jogan handy for a comparison, but there is a bit of a side-by-side spin so you can see the differences between the two. So mainly it's all of those gold parts. The head has been completely renewed, and we do have those awesome shield armor segments up on the shoulders. Besides that, a lot of the different aspects have been kind of stylized, changed a little bit more, and it looks a little bit more spiky, pointy, and detailed. And speaking of this being side by side with the regular Jogan right there is a lot of leftover parts on the runners because this kit is heavily based off of that kit. And as for the parts that are left over, as far as I know, these are them. I actually built this quite a long time ago. So that is some of the legs, the upper parts, as well as the big old knee yellows that we used to have. A whole lot of the original head, including these nice spiky bits which actually were kind of nicer than the spiky bits on the head we have right now due to the nice little gray bit there. But besides that, it's just a bunch of bits and pieces, and this is actually just left over off of the runners for this one, for the gatling, which is one of the accessories, which you should take a look at right now. Oh yeah, but before that, just in case you don't know, these high grades are a whole lot chunkier and bigger than your average high grade by Bandai. That being an average high grade. Sort of. I guess the Beyond Global isn't necessarily average, but hey, serves its purpose. So now jumping into the accessories, and here's absolutely everything that comes inside of the box with the MAILES Jogan Kai. And this comes packing with one of the biggest Gatling guns I've ever seen in a model kit. This thing is off the charts huge. On top of that, we've got a pair of Mecha Uzis. I repeat, Mecha Uzis. And then we've got a set of 6 hands in here. You're seeing the 4 that aren't attached. There's 2 that are attached. And we've got some alternate parts for parts forming the butt flap. Let's check it all out. So first off, taking a look at the hands that we have in here, and we've got these pair of widespread open hands. Just like we've seen with this line so far, the hands in here are absolutely phenomenal. The sculpt here is fantastic, they do look great, and the kits come with a whole bunch included. So that's the widespread. Swapping them out is the usual routine. Pop off the ball joint attachment, and then pop on the one that you want. Now this kit doesn't have anything for holding with the holding style hands, but they are included, of course, if you want to hold something that comes featured in another kit. So that is what that looks like. It's the usual holding hand. That's a hole in the top, just like so. Opening these up is the usual routine. I'm not going to do it. It's just pop off the back and pop in whatever you want, which is similar to what we're about to look at. The sculpt, as you can see, is not quite as fancy because we do have, well, it looks like he's holding something in there when he is not. And by he, I mean it. Or is it a he? Because the AI, is it a she? I don't even remember. There we go. It's a she, apparently. Anyway, popping in the last of the hands, we've got a pair of all of these, not just the one. And this, just like we've seen with everything so far, is a little on the weird side. That is, some of the fingers are in the color of the back of the hand because of the way they've color separated it. So you will have to hit those fingers with some kind of gray in order to make sure that is color accurate. So as for the weapons that we have in here, first is the pair of Uzis. These are made out of 2 pieces of plastic, as you can see from the seam line right there, but it's been done so intelligently that you don't actually get a seam down the top there, so that is very, very nice. But we don't actually have a barrel hole, but I'm seriously tempted to grab the drill and actually drill that out. But anyway, let's go. So in order to get this into the hand, you do have to open up the hand. It's actually around on this side. By popping off the fingers just like so, then you pop the Uzi into the hand, also just like that right there. Back on then with the fingers, simple as that. Then there is number 2. Anyway, there is what the MAILeS Jogan Kai looks like with both of those Uzis attached. And as for what it says in the manual about these are the 40mm portable short autocannons. 2 close-range firearms are attached to the shield on the Gatling gun. They use 40mm ammunition, and their firing modes can be switched between single fire and full auto fire. And honestly, I love pistols when it comes to mecha. It's just a ridiculous thought. But there's something even more ridiculous about a pair of Uzis on a giant mecha. It just doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense, really. There's so many ways you can incorporate weapons into an actual big mecha that Uzis is probably one of the last things that I would actually think of, but I'm so glad that they did it because it's over the top, awesome, and ridiculous. And thankfully, this kit right here does have plenty of articulation on tap, so it does mean you're actually able to get some great poses out of it. Even though it may not be the most over-the-top mecha in the show, you can make it one if you want for your display. That looks so cool. But on to the main event. So moving on to the next weapon, which is the main event in here, and that is the Gatling. I'm happy to say that this does actually rotate, so you get the full Gatling action going on in here. We do have a sight, which was a simple sticker, a shield up front. We've got the ammo belt, which isn't your usual ammo belt. It's got a kind of what I assume is a covering of sorts, and this has a lot going on. First off, to detach this to get it onto the mecha, you just pop that off. Like so. This then just pops like that. We'll save that for later. And before I forget, this right here is where you can store those Uzis when they're not in use, which is really cool and super handy for the robot. In order to attach in, they just pop in just like so. So there's one. And then over on the other side, there is the second one. So super simple, effective, and they fold in out of the way and can't even be seen from the front. So in order to attach this, you get that big old ammo tank first, which is basically a backpack. This is a point of articulation to make sure you can get it over the unit, and it just attaches on and around into the backpack as simple as so. Then you just bring this down either side of the head like so, so it's set up for attachment, and then those 4 pieces just attach into the 4 corresponding slots on the back of the actual Gatling shield. Once you've got them all lined up, just push them in, and there we go. So scratch what I said earlier on about this kit not needing these holding hands, these ones without the trigger fingers, because this right here is exactly what they're for holding onto. So just get them popped on like pop and pop, and then those attach to the handles that are just hanging around on the back of the shield. That was easy. And then finally the ammo belt attaches onto the side of the canister like so, and then up inside of the shield. Lastly then, to finish this off, we do have this little bipod segment, which is a parts formation for the butt flap to actually have this whole segment right here, this folded up unit, be displayed in its not folded up form. To do that, you just pop this whole bit off like so. This bit then just attaches on right where that was, and we do have a little bit of pivot articulation right here to get this set up. So anyway, there's what it looks like in the single pose you can actually pull off with the bipod on and the turret around front, which is just being a quad pod turret just ready to let rip with that gatling. Anyway, what it says about this particular weapon in the instructions is, this is the 45mm rotary armor machine cannon. This is a gatling gun capable of firing 60 45mm bullets per second. Its effective range is well over 1.5 kilometers. It is combined with a large shield and drum shaped magazine, and the weapon is immediately separated and discarded after being used. That is one hell of a mecha weapon right there. So finally now onto the articulation, and as usual with these kits, rock solid. I mean, high grades don't come as solid as these boyos right here. This thing is ridiculous, will not shift a centimeter, and it's all plastic on plastic joints. So when it comes to the articulation on the Jogan Kai right here, this is, well, like what we've seen with this line so far. This is not typical humanoid Gundam style mecha articulation right here. This is designed to be like a robot, well, not necessarily like a person, but you do at the end of the day get ridiculously awesome articulation with super strong joints. It's just going to pull off some very robot looking stuff, not necessarily human looking stuff, but in the usual pose right here, it absolutely kills it. It's got very unique knees that can look funny when it is standing straight up, but like this looks incredible. Once again, the same awesome shoulder joints you've seen across this line so far, and honestly, this thing is ridiculous. Just in case this is one of your first time seeing one of these kits, they all have these very unusual arms which rotate on the axis just like so. So once again, more like an actual robot you would see assembling something in a factory as opposed to something you'd see in Mobile Suit Gundam or a similar mecha style anime. So that is a peg, pops in just like so, and it rotates on that axis. The knee joints are extremely unique. They're back here as opposed to the usual spot, and that is the point where it bends. So again, looking crazy really. There is the ankle and it bends like that, so this is very unique. And we do have toes that move like so, and a heel little stabilizer bitty around there for when it's using the gatling gun. So in a lot of ways exactly the same as what we would have seen in the Jogan. What's new up here is these shields. These have very nice articulation. There's a lot going on, multiple points of movement in those, so you can get them into the body like so, up real high, rotate them around, move them all sorts of way, and get them right out from the body like that as well. Absolutely awesome. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and I know the series didn't actually do all that well. It wasn't that high rated, or it wasn't really that popular, but I will tell you for a fact, the model kits are outright outstanding. These are some of the best mecha model kits out there, and honestly, all this is missing is some actual real military colors, and you've got yourself something like you'd see in Front Mission or Armored Core. There's so much potential here if you want yourself a real robot, not necessarily an anime one, just a lick of color. The weapons and the style really suit that. But yeah, this is an absolutely fantastic model kit if you do want one of your own, or any of this particular line. I'll throw a link down there in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more model kit mecha reviews, and I'll see you next time.